It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the three films of March 14th, 2008. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it, because honestly, the biggest new release of the weekend is the one that we have here first off. The latest film from the creators of Ice Age, and the first fully animated, theatrically released Dr. Seuss movie, and that is Horton Hears a Who.
From the creators of Ice Age and the imagination of Dr. Seuss. Next spring, the biggest adventure of all time is going to happen in the smallest of places. Oh my gosh! 20th Century Fox presents a Blue Sky Animation Studios film. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Jim Carrey.
Just me and the speck, shooting the breeze. We're a club. We're a group. We can be a secret society. And no one else can join unless they wear funny hats.
Steve Carell.
Hey, hun, did you ever get the feeling that you were being watched? And that maybe that thing watching you is, a giant elephant?
I'm gonna have to say no. Do you know that feeling?
Oh, no.
In Dr. Seuss's Horton Hears a Who. Listen up, March 14th.
Nothing wrong with this, Morton. Nothing wrong with this.
Boy, talk about a redemption arc for so many involved in this movie. One, Dr. Seuss, of course, after the abysmal The Cat in the Hat. I mean, literally after that movie flopped hard at the box office and was seen as a critical and financial disaster, Dr. Seuss's widow literally had to come out and say, no more live-action adaptations of my husband's work. And so we've got these animated movies now, and hey, at least they're going to match the visual quality of the Dr. Seuss stories. But not only that, Cinco, Paul, and Ken Dario, who we talked about them on the last episode, who wrote College Road Trip. This was a nice return to form for them. And Jim Carrey and Steve Carell really needed this after a bad 2007. In fact, Steve Carell had a pretty good 2008 when you really look at it. But, Jim Carrey had the number 23, which was a huge flop. Steve Carell had Evan Almighty, which was also a big flop. So everybody, the main players involved in this movie really needed this one to work, and needless to say, it did work very, very well. So you have, of course, Horton Hears a Who, based off of, obviously, the Dr. Seuss story, in which you have a giant elephant named Horton, played by Jim Carrey, who comes across this, tiny yelp from a floating speck of dust, and it turns out it's actually a little city, the city of Whoville. And, of course, you have the mayor of the town, played by Steve Carell, and also you got his wife, played by Amy Poehler. This is a stacked cast of voice actors in here, Not only do you have Amy Poehler, Carol Burnett, Will Arnett, Seth Rogen plays Morton, the mouse in there that you see at the end of the trailer there. Dan Fogler, Isla Fisher, Jonah Hill, Jesse McCartney. There's a lot of big names all across the board in this movie. I think, is it Selena Gomez or Demi Lovato is also in here too, Selena Gomez, she has a little role in here as well. Dane Cook has, a brief cameo in this movie. You can hear his screaming, yeah, and that's pretty much all that you have of him in this. But, yeah, he's in the movie, too. So, they stacked this with some talent in this movie. I mean, basically, they were just there to put the names on the poster to sell the movie in general. And, hey, it worked. It was a big hit at the box office. It was well reviewed positively. Most people really enjoyed the film overall, and I like it, too. I think it's a very good adaptation of Dr. Seuss's story. Honestly, it may be the best adaptation of a Dr. Seuss story that has been told, because I didn't like Cat in the Hat. I really didn't like the Lorax, but I like the two Grinch movies. I like the Jim Carrey one. I like the Benedict Cumberbatch one, even though both of them have their own separate things I don't like about them. But both of them I do really enjoy a lot, and I'm really kind of curious to see where they go with Dr. Seuss movies down the road now that they're under Warner Brothers. But yeah, you can see that Blue Sky Studios did a pretty good job of capturing the magic and spirit of the original visuals from the Dr. Seuss storyline, which is something they would later do with the Peanuts movie, which is probably their best overall film in general. Does this one have flaws? Yeah, absolutely. Horton is a little too eccentric sometimes. I feel like they threw that in there because, this whole thing is because, we got to keep the caffeinated kids hyped up on this so they enjoy the movie instead of just telling a story. And yeah, a little of that goes a long way, but it's never to the point where it's like ear-grindingly annoying. Like, the trailer makes it feel like that's going to be the whole movie. It's nothing like that, per se. It's a very good movie that does give you what you want in a story like this and doesn't feel like it's doing the same having the same problems that something like The Cat in the Hat did, where let's just throw in some pointless celebrity cameos in here. Like, literally, who can ever forget Paris Hilton's cameo in The Cat in the Hat? Like, I never thought the day would come where we see Paris Hilton in a Dr. Seuss movie of all things. But Horton Hears a Who is a really good film. I said yet. It probably is overall the best adaptation of a Dr. Seuss story we've had to date so far. It's still the one that still holds up the most. It's got great visuals, great bits of comedy, great animation. I mean, it's a really impressively put together film, and it just shows that Blue Sky Studios is showing what they can do on their own. Like, they're not just the Ice Age company, and they did Robots before this, and then we'll see some other individual projects from them down the road. A lot of them are really good ones. They have not really made a ton of bad movies, except for maybe Rio 2 and then the later Ice Age movies like 4 and 5. But other than that, though, they've been pretty solid overall, and this is definitely one of their best films overall, and one I can honestly recommend. I can't recommend this one even more than I usually would. So now I'm already getting my words mixed up here. This is one I recommend a lot. Forget what I said beforehand, but this is one I easily do recommend. It's one you should definitely check out. Horton Hears a Who, definitely worth it. So, with all of that said, let us go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Never Back Down.
Don't stop this guy. You want to be the best. Try to take out the best. Get the gloves. He's getting up. He's getting up. With some technique, bro, you can achieve great. Never back down. Come on. Never back down. Rated PG-13. Friday, March 14th.
I should mention that this was directed by Jeff Wadlow. That should be your first warning sign to stay the hell away from this movie. You have the story of a frustrated and conflicted teenager who arrives at a new school and discovers an underground fight club there. So it's basically another Karate Kid. I mean, it's literally the Karate Kid, except take Mr. Miyagi out, put in Jaimin Hansu, and take Ralph Macchio out as a character you actually do want to root for, and bring in obnoxious, bland teen star that they're trying to build as the next big thing, and Sean Ferris. Oh, and throw Amber Heard too for the guys who have to be dragged to this movie too. And sure enough, it's a movie that becomes a hit, and it did become a hit, and eventually led to a series of direct-to-video movies, which that should tell you everything they know. They made this to just be for no other reason except to get a series of films out there that have nothing to do with the original story, which is a story that has been done to death so many times before. The fighting is not even that interesting. There's nothing of value going on in this movie whatsoever. The characters are so stock and so bland, so cliched riddled. There's nothing about them that makes them interesting whatsoever. The fighting isn't even that good in this movie. It's a film that has just so been there, done that, and just there's nothing of value to it. Nobody wanted to this movie really wanted to make a good movie. They wanted to make this movie because, hey, the Karate Kid worked back in the day. We need to make a new Karate Kid for a new generation, even though we're still 2 years away from the Karate Kid remake. But, yeah. Overall, yeah. Not much more you could say about this one. It's a bad movie. Avoid it like the plague. So, with that said, let us go ahead and move on to the last film we have here, and that is Doomsday from the director of The Descent. that trailer pretty much tells you everything you need to know about what they were really trying to sell. The ass of Rona Mitra, whatever is there, because yeah, they did not do a good job of making people want to see this movie, or see it, knowing that they've got a hot chick in the movie. Because yeah, this is a film that, kind of like Would Never Back Down, it's a film we've seen done to death before so many times and done much better. It takes place in a future in Scotland, which has been quarantined because of a deadly virus. When the virus is found in London, political leaders send a team led by Major Eaton Sinclair, played by Rona Mitra, to Scotland to find a possible cure. Sinclair's team run into two types of survivors: marauders and medieval knights. Yeah. It's that kind of a movie where they're just throwing whatever they can at you. It's literally just an attempt to try to make a new Mad Max for a new generation, while also trying to say, hey, medieval knights are still pretty cool. I mean, that's all I got from that, but yeah, this movie is rough, man. This is a film that is just so all over the place. It makes no sense whatsoever. There's not a good indication of what they're trying to do here, and the originality just isn't there. I mean, this is a film that's literally trying to be a new Mad Max, but the difference is you don't have George Miller's unique filmmaking abilities and writing abilities to keep the film afloat, and it just falls apart right from the get-go. There's just nothing of value here in this movie, and it just really is just nothing but noise. Like, everything from the lackluster action, the pointless editing that looks like something out of a bad Guy Ritchie movie, excessive violence that's just way too over the top for its own good. I mean, this is a film that is just such a mess of a film, and it feels like a film they were literally trying to do everything in their power to try to sell on something that is just not there. It's just not there whatsoever. It's a terrible film. It's a really lackluster film. What more can you say, man? Doomsday, another one you can avoid like the plague. So in the end, Horton Hears the Who was the only good movie that came out this weekend, but I don't think that really is much of a shocker overall, but that's it for this episode of Time About the Movies. But for the next time we meet, we head to Easter weekend when we have 4 of the movies that will try to combat Horton Hears a Who, and pretty much fail miserably at it. Well, with one exception. Tyler Perry's latest film, Meet the Browns, was the biggest new release of the weekend. But we have Owen Wilson in a film produced by Judd Apatow and written by John Hughes, Drobit Taylor. Yet another J-horror remake, Shudder, and we also have Under the Same Moon. So we'll take a look at those 4 movies all coming up on the next episode. That'll be tomorrow. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell. That's when you get updates on when new videos come out, and we do post new videos here every day. So with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.